Guys, welcome back to another episode of the Ike MMA. Welcome to another episode of the Ike MMA show or the Ike MMA podcast, whichever one you prefer. I'm joined in the studio today with my co-host Jonathan Will Kick Leonard Mills. Jonathan, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Ike?
Not bad. I You have a good weekend.
Beautiful weekend. Just spent it with my missus and family. It's good. How about yourself?
Oh, good. Well, quite uneventful, but I think watching the fights kind of made it a bit better, especially the co-main and main event fights for the UFC 281.
Yesterday was nice.
Uh, Yeah, so where do we start? Quite a bit to unpack, and unfortunately, there was something quite heavy-hearted that happened over the weekend as well.
Yeah, I think we should. I know I want to be disrespectful because I think we would. I'd rather end with that so the note
Yeah,
would
of
be
course, yeah,
that than that. Well, people would know what we're saying at the end. So, but yeah,
sure,
definitely.
sure thing. So, yeah, the really big fight, Adesanya versus Pereira, UFC 2 is from the main event fight. I mean, what did you make of it?
I
Do you
didn't expect.
think?
I said I got the right result, but I didn't expect what I saw. Um, I'll leave it at that from now. I want to hear your side first, and I'll get my discussion in because we did
Uh,
go on. We did have a last. We did do our who we thought was going to win, didn't we? We did say who we thought was going to win, didn't we?
I think you did. I think you were leaning more on the side of Pereira,
Yeah,
because you said that after Pereira beat Izzy twice, even though it's a similar sport, kickboxing, you said that Pereira is now in Izzy's head. And when I watched the pre-fight press conference, I saw that in Israel Adesanya that somehow he was confident and all those the right things were there, but I had a sense of an unease that he himself just had that 1% doubting of himself of himself that this fight probably wouldn't go the way he had planned or the way he'd wanted.
yeah. Well, where did you go in the end? The result. I mean, it doesn't matter where you went because to be honest with you, it was so close. It could have gone either
Yeah.
way. But
Mm.
where did you pick of it? I forgot where did you
No,
go?
no,
Where did you?
for me, I God, I was gonna say Adesanya because the last time that these guys fought wasn't in a lot of different sport. It was a slightly different sport, similar the similarities. But in mixed martial arts, the rules change quite significantly. There's a lot more you can use for offense. There's a lot more you can use for defense.
Mm,
So it's a quite a different ball game. So I mean, again, I was very wary, really careful how I would place my bet because I wouldn't want to sound stupid.
yeah, of
I
course.
was sitting on, I overall sitting on the fence. But if I had to bet, if I was forced to put some money on this fight, I would have gone with Adesanya.
Yeah. And you'd be right, almost right to do so. Because of how close the fight was. Obviously not right because he lost, but I got the right decision, but I want to take back some words that I was wrong.
Mhm.
I did think, and still looking back, I still thought that Izzy looked like a bit that Alexander Pereira was in Izzy's head. Watching the fight, no way at all was Alexander in Izzy's head at all.
Mm.
But what I noticed that because he nearly stopped Izzy first round, and those exchanges, and Izzy was making that one stage at making Alex guessing, which is very impressive.
Yes.
But one thing I didn't like about the commentary, which they didn't see what Alex Pereira was doing in the fourth round. I'm sorry, I'm skipping a lot here.
Yeah, it's fine.
Was
It's fine.
was Alex Pereira in the fourth round was very smart, and I use the word. I'm not a big fan of him, but I'm going to use the word what Conor McGregor says is using his shots efficiently. Efficiently, Israel was. Alex knew he was down, and he just accepted he was down on the rounds. So I felt that Alex Pereira, he's done many times in the past, finished people late, finished people knock people get knocked out, what you did with Israel in his second fight. In that fourth round, yes, he was tired, but he wasn't blowing his wind. He was just chilling. He was chilling. He was doing enough to get through that
Mhm.
round, to get enough energy to knock him out.
Yeah.
And Izzy didn't look like that round. Izzy should try and knock him out. I know it sounds silly, but but Izzy should have been trying to knock him out. And he was using, I think, to be honest, you not enough efficient shots to do enough damage. DC kept going on in the commentary saying, "Look, he's tired. Alex is tired. Alex is tired." Well, yeah, but is he blowing out? No, he's recovering. He's recovering. He's
Exactly. Yeah.
getting his energy back. A very
Mhm.
smart-minded fighter.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
I've done it in my fights around. I think right, I'll give this round up. I'll get the next round. You know, even though one of the fights I did that in, they gave it to the opponent. I didn't believe I thought that enough about me, but I thought when anyways, shut up about me. The fight about Alex Pereira,
Yeah.
the fifth round, you saw that Glover Teixeira said to him as well, "You're 3 rounds down. You got to win. You got to go for the knockout." I don't believe this was because at the start, well, before my perception was that Alex is in Izzy's head. It wasn't that way inclined. It was the other way. It was Alex knew how to win. Alex knew how to win, and that's what won. That's why Alex won. He knew he could knock him out, and in the fifth round, he let that fourth round be a way to get his energy back, and he unleashed. When he had the time when he's up against the cage, he unleashed. He waited. His patience is one of his best weapons.
Mm.
One of the best person I've seen with patience was Anderson Silva, and Alex Pereira with his time and waited. He waited. I mean, Izzy's great with patience, but Alex Pereira, oh my day, sounds terrible to say because Izzy's one of the best strikers of all time in MMA. But Alex Pereira is
Yeah.
just on
Yeah.
that level. Like
I know.
he
Yeah.
waited, and when he landed that shot, that big shots in, he hurt him. You gotta give Mark. Was it Mark Goddard, the guy who stopped the fight? He saved about 2 years or 4 years off Izzy's life by jumping in. Izzy was
Yeah.
close to getting. I could see Alex Pereira waiting for the big uppercut to come through,
Yeah.
and the ref
Yeah.
saw that and stopped it. And then, I mean, if Izzy probably might get upset at the time, but he watched that back, he should be thanking that ref. He got landed brutal shots, and it was close where Izzy was just drowning like that, trying to miss him. And you could see Alex just chilling because Alex doesn't. Joe, some fighters they swing and swing. Alex times he waited, and then he's about to go, and it was a work of art to see that. Just sad because Izzy did so well up to that point, and I'm the one who wanted Alex Pereira to win because I said because my prediction, but
Yes. Yeah.
Izzy fought his heart out and he deserves a rematch. And after that fight, I mean, it's hard to say because I probably to say it again. I probably will say it's got to be in Izzy's head again, but he was not in
Mm.
Izzy's head that fight. He was definitely not. I said he was in Izzy's head, and I said to Aaron that he was in Izzy's head. I truly believe that. No, I mean Alex was. Yeah, uh, Alex was in Izzy's head, but yeah, I'll say you got to give what a fight, and what a performance by both fighters. It was amazing, and I think a lot of people talking about like the grappling part, and there's a lot of explore. We never saw Alex fight the top grapplers, and clearly if he doesn't get a rematch, he's probably going to fight one of those top grapplers, and I think he'd probably be in a massive camp for grappling now. But yeah, I just there's other stuff I want to talk about UFC now, but that's my play on it. It wasn't that Izzy Alex was in Izzy's head. It was Alex and his team, Glover, Share, and all that knew they could knock out Izzy, and then they exploited that in the last round. And I thought it was brilliant what he did in the fourth round, chill, and then use his gas tank in the last round was because he got the 5 rounds to do it. So it was genius in my opinion. But yeah, I'll shut up now and
No. No.
thanks,
I
man.
enjoy you. I enjoy you giving your own analysis and your own opinion on the whole fight. This is just another example of where I believe someone's going to win because of how probably they've got more muscle, they're taller, they've got longer reach, they're faster, all these things. Um, it's exactly what I thought with the co-main event with Chandler versus Poirier. I saw, yeah,
I
when,
found turns out it wasn't the co-main. I thought it was the co-main. It was Willie Zhang versus Esparza. But they're the one before that. But yeah, it was close to co-main. And yeah, sorry, go on. My bad. My bad.
but when I posted about the Adesanya versus Pereira fight on my Instagram,
Yeah.
a few people commented about the early stoppage. Some people said that early stoppage my ass and stuff, and they said the
Mm.
stoppage was actually was needed and came in at the right time
Saved
because
his life.
yeah, I remember just seeing. I mean, just when I woke up that Sunday morning, I was just looking through my phone, just check because I was eager to find out who had won that fight, looking
Mm.
through the news feeds and whatever, and I just remember seeing the clip of Adesanya up against the fence and this guy Pereira just dishing out the blows. I was thinking, wow, Adesanya looks like he's just tired or just waiting to be finished off, and the other guy's just giving him the business there with his fists.
Brutal.
Um, it was brutal, yes, really,
Shout
really
out to my
brutal.
brother Perry. My brother Perry gave me his BT Sport for the day, so I could
Uh,
because he think he went out to watch it and I watched it on his BT Sport. So I'm
mhm,
grateful that he gave it to me. I was at work by the way, watching it, but a bit annoying. But yeah, it had to be done. But yeah,
for
grateful for
sure.
that. Sorry, I should cut you off there. My bad. Sorry. What were you saying? Sorry. Sorry. Okay.
No, I was saying that anytime I watch one of these fights and I predict that the other person is going to win because they look as if they got more in their arsenal to win the fight, whether it's by decision, TKO or KO or submission.
Yeah.
When the result plays out in the opposite way than to what I had anticipated or predicted, I'm reminded that in this fight in combat sports, especially mixed martial arts, things rarely play out the way you plan
Not
or
unpredictable.
hope or predict. Exactly. Like
Unless you could
trying,
be, unless you could be with that division, everybody
yeah,
unpredictable.
yeah.
Yeah.
See,
No, it's true.
like Chandler versus Poirier, I really thought that Chandler would actually just win by
Indeed.
a serious knockout or submission. But no,
Yeah.
that I mean, he actually he did. I think he gassed out. He did gas out, and Poirier was smart. He saw that I think he waited for the opportunity to come, took the opportunity, and for United got him on the ground and won by rare naked chokehold. So I mean, again, when I see stuff like that, I'm reminded, okay, there's a lot more hit to this than what I know, what the one I understand. There's a lot more for me to understand.
Mm.
Um, so I mean, going back to Adesanya and Pereira now, I tried to post a poll about this in my Instagram stories. Do you think that there is going to be a rematch? Is Dana White going to agree to that?
That's money maker. That's got to be a rematch. To be honest, with you like they want to save Alex Pereira. They want him to fight what's called because there's a few wrestlers out there would love to after that fight. And there's a jokes and memes saying like what's his name? Strickland must be thinking, killing himself, think, damn, why didn't I try to grapple this man? You know? So there's a bit a lot of grapplers looking at that thinking, oh, but another thing what these grapplers don't understand is the reason why Izzy was probably trying able to get him down. One, he went for a takedown on Izzy, and two, Izzy because of the high level kickboxing understands that oh, I forgot the word. The word. Not the engagement. My brain just went to crap. But basically, the measuring. During the measuring, my mind had the right word for it. My mind's gone for it. But he understands where the measuring is because he has such a high level kickboxing. He knows when to engage and to get into the clinch or to get into the takedown. There's a word. I was training about it when I was actually doing these drills today, which is annoying, but my brain's gone. But yeah, I'll get the word. I'll probably put a comment in the comment section to say it because I'm not stupid. My
You
brain's just
say
gone.
measuring, do you mean what's in terms of the if I understand what you mean, so correct me if I'm wrong. Do you mean in terms of the athlete's reach?
No. Like so for someone to get into someone's to shoot for a takedown, you need to get a good read on when a time is to engage to get to the takedown, to like change levels and then to shoot, or to or we make a jab up high, get the hands to go up to shoot. Because Alex Pereira does a long guard, high guard, he has his hands out well long. Anderson Silva used to do it as well back in the day, back in its prime. And other fighters have used that philosophy. I think Machida used it quite often with even though it's karate, he uses his hands out, and other fighters have used that to pull their fighters away. I think I've even seen Demetrius Johnson uh flyweight use that, but it's a very hard way of getting smart to keep your fighter at bay. And because he's such a high level, you can do a flying knee at your freaking head. He can punch you with a lead hook. He's so high level striking that to even get him on the ground, you have to get in close to him. The reason why Izzy can do that because he's got his reads. He's got his reads. He's a high level kickboxer as well. He can see what his opponent is doing. You know, whereas
Mhm.
other wrestlers and other grapplers who aren't as high level striker, Whitaker could probably because he's a high level striker as well. Uh, Possibly Vittori, possibly Cannonier, possibly a few other ones. But Hamzat Chimaev maybe because he's got a great long shootout takedown. He can shoot on a takedown about 3 meters away and he still get you down. But a lot of fighters haven't got those reads, haven't got that measures, that pinpoint position. If they get it wrong, you can get knocked out like Derek Lewis versus what's his name? Derek Lewis versus what's his name? My brain's gone blank. My brain's terrible today. I need some
Derek
coffee.
Lewis. I mean,
He fought
Kevin
a wrestler who's very good, and I can't think of his name. Brain's gone
before in the
blank.
UFC.
In the UFC in the heavyweight division, a guy shot on Derek Lewis, and Derek Lewis came up with an uppercut and knocked him out. And I've completely forgotten the guy's name. But anyways, he's a really good wrestler. The guy he fought. Anyways, long story short, he didn't read the timing, and he thought he was safe and shot when he wasn't safe, and there was a knockout. And just like Alex Pereira, he fought. I think it's Hansen, forgot his name. He didn't time the read right, and I think he shot and he got flying knee and knocked out a head kick. Yeah, flying knee, like getting flying knee to the dome and knocked him out. Long story short, if you don't get your read, don't get your measures, don't get your there's a better word for read and measures. I can't think of it. My brain's gone shit, and there's probably be comments afterwards to tell me the word for
Is
it.
it means is it to gauge or something? Is it
No, yeah,
not?
engaged, but there's a name for it to get your I said this word about a billion times today because I was training this freaking drill. It was paying me off, paying me off. But anyways, you can't just like shoot for a takedown. Like back in the day, back in the early UFC days, unless you're George St. Pierre, who was very well rounded even in the early days, you could and Anderson Silva as well. You could shoot for a takedown for a mile out, and no one would think about doing a flying knee or even Edson Barboza did it. I think it was in Belarus. I'm not too sure. He did a flying knee. Anderson Silva did it to someone in Pride. They went shot for a takedown to a flying knee. Alex Pereira's got that level of striking that you can't shoot. You can't blank shoot. You can't just shoot naked. You have to set it up. You have to set up your shoot. Whereas because Izzy's been in the game so long, he can set up that striking. I know someone else could do it. Whitaker. Whitaker would be a very dangerous opponent for Alex Pereira, and so would Hamzat Chimaev. You could say Cannonier and Vittori possibly, but I personally think and Costa and other fighters. But I think personally, I think he knocks most of them out. I think the two I think will be the most dangerous for him would be Whitaker and Hamzat Chimaev, just because Hamzat can shoot from a mile out and get people down because his wrestling is that levels. Um, but if you're a wrestler and you don't understand about timing and engagement, and you just
Yes,
come
yeah,
forward. Alex Pereira is like one of the fighters, very few fighters that possesses the knockout KO power in almost every part of his body, elbows, knees, punches, probably shoulder. It's like the Francis Ngannou factor. Francis Ngannou was knocked out Stipe with a jab. He jabbed Stipe, at Wednesday. And when Stipe couldn't get him down, I was like, oh no.
yeah, yeah.
Like, what
I
are you
think
like? It's like
Pereira.
it's like start praying, like thinking about his funeral, and you just know it's like just tap now, man, just tap now, like
There are
that.
some fighters I think they read their opponents, they study their opponents. I mean, you can't be your opponent, but they study their opponents as best they can to the core. And
Mm,
just once they're actually competing with you there in the cage, fighting with their opponent,
yeah.
they time all their actions. I think can I say that when you're in there in the cage, there's certain things you'll stop doing because you see, okay, this is actually using up so much of my energy. I need to try something else. Am I thinking along the right lines there?
if you've got the tools, if you've got the tools. So that's why I've been doing it since I was a kid. I've been training martial
Mm,
arts since I was a kid, not MMA, but martial arts. I've been training for a kid, so I've got many tools in my arsenal to switch it up. And not just that, I'm still learning now. Me and Mike James have been pursuing different routes to learn more different routes, and myself going to through a lot of the people I spoke to in my life, and even going into different not just MMA, but different sports like rugby. I went with a guy called Lee B. Davis to learn other arsenals, and just for because the takedowns different. I know it sounds crazy,
yeah.
but rugby, any little specific thing that someone that don't know, because something happens in MMA that what people don't understand is if everybody's learning the same thing, you know what happens?
Mm.
You, they know what you're doing. Yeah, the
Yes,
whole
yeah.
and the thing is, this is why I love that MMA. It's getting better and better and better. Like, so all of a sudden, calf kicks came along. Like, what was calf kicks? You know, and then people start using calf kicks, and like people now they're going into different arts. When people said this art was useless, now they go to that art just to take up like Bruce Lee method was.
Yeah.
He said take what's useful and discard the rest. Like, sambo wrestling came out. People said it was freestyle wrestling and Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and all of a sudden it's sambo wrestling's coming in, and then they're destroying people. I'm like, wow. And then it's such a crazy sport. It's going to be keep evolving. But when it comes, like I said, about we mentioned something about like when you're in a fight, if you've got it in your arsenal. Like, for instance, I talk about myself. You asked me. My last fight, I was on the ground. It was 10 seconds left, and I'm thinking, I went for. Remember, the Theo Edwards got me up against a cage, but he wasn't trying to take me down, and he wasn't trying to strike. He was just trying to hold me. And I looked at the ref like, "Come on, this break me away." And I thought it's my job to get him away, but it was hard because he wasn't trying to take me down. He wasn't trying to do anything. So my mindset was right. I can't get off the cage. I have to, and I can't. I'm punching him, but they're stupid. They're baby punches. I'm gonna go for a guillotine. So I went for guillotine. He jumps up. It's 10 seconds low. I thought if I get up now, It's 10 seconds to go. He's gonna punch me in the head. Not gonna look good on the judging scorecard. I remembered I started doing scorpion kicks in capoeira. I thought, let's go for a scorpion kick. And I did it. It's off the ground. I thought, just a thing in my mind. I went for a scorpion kick. But it could be, if I were on the ground, I didn't have that in my weapon, what do? You just get up, don't you? So
Yeah,
it's in your mind. What's in your mind? If you haven't got the tools and you haven't practiced, and even practice something four times, maybe you practice a few times, but you got it. But if you haven't got the tools, then you just you panic, and then you probably use more energy, and then you do something silly. But only the very very few elite fighters can change it up to do these things. To these tools. Like, for instance, Pereira, he knew he
yes,
was down. He knew he was down, but he was a two-time world kickboxing champion. He's knocked out Izzy before. In his back of his mind, he's not panicking. Most
yeah,
fighters panic.
okay.
In the fourth round, he could have tried to gone blow for blow with Izzy. He didn't. He just let him have that round. He breathed, he chilled, and in the fifth round, when the time was right, he exploded and finished him. Also, again, Rumble Johnson with a great coach. I think personally that was a lot more of his coach in him. I mean, he's the one that pulled out the bag, but his coach was on his case madly. When his head was on the ground, his coach was telling him, "This is what you got to do," and he inspired his spirit, and he came out there and he pulled out the bag, and it was amazing. Uh, just but not can't take away anything from Leon Edwards because he was on an 11 fight win streak, 10 fight win streak. So, but at the same time, his coach was a massive, definitely got to be part of that. But again, it's something in his arsenal. They probably practice over and over and over and over again. The jab, slip, kick. It's something they practice over and over again. If you haven't practiced that, you can't just say, "Oh, you never done this before." But that's just you can't say it's something that's in your weapon arsenal, and that's the problem I find though with a lot of MMA gyms. They can become quite generic, and unless you're not a very open-minded person, a lot of people believe. I put this in a post. Not going to talk about the end. A lot of people believe that we found everything in our MMA, and this is the who's. But when you find out now, look, how come a lot more strikers are coming over and doing well because people have learned how to defend takedowns, learn how to uh, Siva what is actually needed in grappling and what's not, and what is the right tools. But then you got other people who just do heavy Brazilian jiu-jitsu. For instance, Dustin Poirier versus Michael Chandler.
Yeah,
I think it was Michael Chandler who actually engaged that takedown and then got swept or somehow got on his back and then got beat by Brazilian jiu-jitsu. So I love MMA, but I'm sorry swearing. I'm going on too
no,
much.
no, don't say what you like. Say,
Answer
I'm
your
not one of those.
answer your question. Yes, but is you can't. Yes, but that depends on how much the opponent understands about the sport and how much, because you got other fighters like Dan Henderson who could just knock you out with that one punch, and he just relied on that one punch. But you know what? Doesn't matter because it's all he needs. Most of the time
Yeah,
he's got
yeah,
great wrestler. He can do. I know he did an
yeah.
elbow against what's his name, the guy, the Jude Chidoko guy. It was a massive, forgot his name. But yeah, he's finished the guy by elbow and a few people other people. Most of the time it was the H bomb. He just landed. He wetted that big hat overhand and it got him thousands of belts and a great chin and the rest. And so some people and Francis Ngannou just needs a swing, you know. And he's learning wrestling jiu-jitsu now, but the very skilled athletes, yes, I believe the very more skilled athletes they've got they're like GSP for instance. I will say he's got very 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 many ways to win and Izzy as well too on shoot. That's why they can get it. That's the very few percentage that can do it, and that's to me that's a champion. People with that mindset. Even Cain
Yeah.
Velasquez, he adjusted. He got knocked out by Junior Dos Santos. He came back, did it, change his game plan. The sad thing about Cain Velasquez, both knees got blown out, and that's what killed his career. But people like that mindset, Demetrius Johnson, another one. If you got the tools, that's why it's called mixed martial arts. If you got the tools, do it, and if you haven't got the tools, then you best be blessed with a lot of power and speed and great attributes to get to the top. It's a long-winded answer, bro. Sorry.
But it's detailed. No, but it's detailed. So I'm also learning myself. Um, you see, if I talk about well, actually, no, I'll talk about both of them actually. Is it that if you're a smart mixed martial arts athlete, what you should normally do is, and if you've got the skills for this, if it's like a natural talent that you have in your arsenal, is to go into that cage or even that ring and try and wear down your opponent. If you know your opponent, if you studied them well, if you know their weaknesses, their loopholes, go into that cage, just go on the offensive, but also go on the defensive. Try to wear them down as much as you can do. Let them exhaust that gas tank. Then towards the end, yeah, if the opportunity is still there, just going for the kill and just going for a knockout submission, TKO, or for some sort of finish. Is that you should cause
Yeah, but the
that
end, if you're superior, definitely. If you look the superior fighter, definitely. That's the goal. That's the goal every time. And the superior athlete is to finish your opponent. So yes, in the answer, yes, you're right. Definitely.
because
That would be the goal.
Michael Chandler, I like him. He's great. Good personality. But in terms of mixed martial arts, there's one particular fighter, other fighter who doesn't fight so much now, but he does a podcast. He does commentary for Bellator. I'm not sure if you know what I'm talking about.
What's his
They've
name?
been. Should I say his name on this podcast?
Mm. Is
That
he is he
that
one of guy who fought? Did he fight? Is he Pitbull? Is that Pitbull? Is it? Who fought Chandler? No.
We'll put it this way: him and Tron was supposed to fight back in sometime in 2017 in Bellator. I can't remember the specific Bellator event, but I
Okay.
think he pulled out the fight or so. Didn't want to fight Chandler, wasn't ready, and so I think kind of prevented Chandler from as in moving up the rankings or so. But they're not on their enemies basically.
Okay.
But this guy has always said that Chandler's a great fighter, so good looking, as in there's many positive things he has to say about him, despite the fact that he doesn't like him. But
Hmm.
he says he's a crazy, stupid fighter. No, I don't mean, I don't necessarily mean to be insultive or offensive, but I kind of get what he means because Chandler is a ferocious fighter in the
He
cage
get
there, but
he gets too excited sometimes, doesn't he?
and that's gonna cause you to exhaust that gas tank, waste all that energy. Before you know it, I think that's why I saw it in the chart in the fight with him and Dustin Poirier. As at some points in that fight, China looked like he'd really had enough.
Yeah.
He'd taken a lot of abuse to his face. His face angels were bloody and
Found
whatever.
ways to get his energy back though. Did you see the takedowns? He was smart in that area.
No, no, I saw yes,
Yeah.
I saw yeah, but Poirier was unfortunately still smarter, and he
DJ.
still managed to
Yeah. On
still
the day,
managed to win.
on the day. Sorry to stop you. What you say? Keep going. Just keep going. Sorry, my man.
No, I said you're right about trying to put the takedowns. He was smart to do that. But I think Poirier was still smarter and
Mm.
still managed to, I think, get on his back and try and get, and no, not try to, but he got into a rear naked chokehold and he got some. He trying to tapped. I had to actually go back and rewind it 2 or 3 times to see the actual tapping as as it happened.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's just situations like that. I do one is other people mean that your fight IQ probably isn't that great. You're wasting your energy when you should be conserving it so you can last as much as you can do through the fight. So you got a better opportunity of winning.
The thing is, I don't think it wasn't to do with fight IQ. Um, I think that's how Michael Chandler. I think he wants to entertain the fans as well, and he's one of those people that would just he's got a way of fighting, and I think he's one of those people that there's people that can change their styles. Like one of them is Rufus Bobby Lawler. Rufus Bobby Lawler used to come out and just try to bang, and then he changed his style, try to be more selective and bang. And remember, I told you about the Alex Pereira fight where we did mention about him being more at the start he tried to swing, but then he cut his back because he had a 3 rounder as well. Michael Chan had a 3 rounder. I think he was trying to win on points and he got caught. But still, cut that long story short, he didn't use his shots efficiently. If you watch the first round, I think he was missing them a lot of times. He was throwing them missing, and he got hit. Not all the time. He landed some beautiful shots, and you got to give a lot to Dustin Poirier to take them shots. A lot of people wouldn't take them shots. They would have been out. But Michael Chandler, I will say, did didn't use his shots efficiently. But what I will give him credit for was the switch that he realized he was messing up, and he shoot for the takedown.
Yeah,
Problem is,
yeah.
I think he shot for one takedown and he got swept, or he got switched, and I don't know if he got for swept and he got his back taken. Um, and that was just because and also he was blowing his nose into which is disgusting. I believe he was blowing his
Well,
nose.
hold on. Did he blow his nose into Poirier's mouth?
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's messed up. It's
Okay,
messed up on so many
that's
levels.
very bizarre.
And
That's
he and, and
not
he threw
you
as well, which is not the sportsman like. It was kind of messed up, but yeah, I think Dustin Poirier did say a lot of bad stuff about Michael Chandler, so I can see where he was peed off.
yeah, yeah,
And that doesn't excuse what he did, but he's a fight favorite and he fights on his heart. Doesn't mean he did, but yeah, I think what you're saying though, with his fight being stupid, I wouldn't call Michael Chandler stupid, but what we'll say is that he gives his all in every fight he does. That's why people
yeah,
love him.
yeah,
He gives all,
yeah.
but I think he needed to watch that fight back and do a lot more sparring and be more efficient. It's hard. It's hard sport because he did do the right thing. Maybe learn a bit more BJJ. Maybe go to Brazilian Jiu Jitsu because he was winning. I know he got rocked at the end of the first round. And he got stopped because he got crossed over and he nearly got stopped.
Mhm.
But that can take years of your life, so he's got to be careful playing that game. I'm stupid myself. I have my hands down, so I'm saying this and I look at myself like Johnny. You have your hands down. You just fight like a retard as well. I should say, I can't fight about that as well, but I can't blame him because he's so good at it, and he's got dynamite in hands. He can knock people out. You got to give a lot of give a lot of credit to Dustin
Credit,
Poirier
yeah.
in that fight as well. You know, I said Michael Chandler would win and stop him, but Poirier came back, and you got to give it. I thought he was coming in the third round. I still thought Michael Chandler was 2 rounds up, even though he got rocked to the first round. You could have given that draw maybe, or I thought it was Michael Chandler just because of the amount of dominating he did dominate, and up to 20 seconds to go, and then again I thought you can't give that. I still give that round to Michael Chandler, even though what happened at the end of the round, and I gave the second round to Chandler. But then going in the third round, I liked how he mixed it up with the takedowns. But yeah, I do agree with you, he does miss a lot and he's not as efficient. And when he gets excited, when the guy's hurt, instead of like chilling and waiting like Alex Pereira does and chill, wait, and wait for that not Dustin, Michael Chandler just wants to take you out and
Yeah,
swing,
yeah.
and miss, and as Conor McGregor says, not as efficient with his shots. I hate using Conor McGregor because I'm not big Conor fan, but he's right in what he says, and you're right there. You're right there. No, so you're right what you're saying, but the only thing you got to give Michael Chandler credit to is the wrestling part. He did switch it up, and he just got screwed over the BJJ, but he did switch it up.
Also, I think Poirier's a bit well. If this, God, I may be wrong in saying this, but I'll say it anyway. Poirier somewhat has a smaller frame. I mean, these guys are both the same weight class. So I think probably it was easier for Poirier to get the guy into a rear naked chokehold and get a submission. So and on top of that, Poirier kind of did want this fight himself
He did.
because he was angry that Michael Chandler didn't call him out. I mean, I've never seen, and Charles Sonnen said this. I've never seen or heard of any athlete in combat sports, specifically the UFC, that is angry when a top-rated, popular fight, top-ranking fighter at that time doesn't call them out. It's exactly what happened here.
But I think he kind of felt disrespected, seeing you probably thought that Michael Chandler didn't think of him as a top tier guy because he was too busy calling out Conor McGregor, who wasn't even in the top 10. He's kind of like a bit disrespectful. Everybody wants to call out Conor McGregor because he's a money fight, isn't he?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but Dustin put a spin on it, saying that But I like Michael Chandler. I like Dustin Poirier. I like both of them. They're both individuals. Very
Yeah,
good. I think you could have run that fight back, and you might see a different result. Like most of the lightweight division is stacked full of quality, not just quality and quantity, both
yeah, no,
both
definitely.
quality. So yeah, I mean, it's funny. I think Michael Chandler didn't. I think we say he wasn't upset. I think he was the way I think he had his back. He had his back. I think he was fish hooking. Jones tried to get the rear naked choke. I believe he's fish hooking his cheek, like handing a hook like that, pulling out, trying to get rear naked choke. That's that's like
China
if you're
versus
gonna cheat, high level cheat, isn't it? Because that's high level cheating, man. Yeah, he tried to fish hook him to fish his head up to get a rear naked choke.
we're taking on the same China versus Poirier that just on Saturday.
What's that?
What this is the fight we just saw on
Yeah,
Saturday. China
yeah.
versus. I'm gonna have to go back and watch that fight again to see
No,
that
no.
what. So
I
now
never.
it makes
I got it from opinion from someone. Someone told me. I think my brother told me that. And I think, yeah, I think my brother told me. I think I've heard that from another source that he fish hooked. He fish hooked him to try to get the. When Michael Chandler had Dustin Poirier's back, I believe that he was fish hooking him, which is like pulling your hand in your cheek, try to lift his head up to get his hand under to rear naked choke him, which is messed up. And I heard as well about the nose blowing his nose into his mouth and such like that, which is kind of disgusting. But
now it makes sense why Dustin Poirier said "you dirty motherfucker"
yeah,
in that interview. Look, can we reconnect? Right, this limit has come on again.
yeah, yeah, no problem.
I'll be back in about 2 minutes.
No worries.
So yeah, now it makes sense as to why Dustin Poirier called this guy dirty, dirty motherfucker. Um,
Yeah.
uh, but you mentioned Conor McGregor. Now, I didn't really have him on my itinerary of list of things to talk about in this episode, but what's the story with this guy? Is he gonna come back to compete, or is he done with fighting? Because from what we've been hearing, he's been making noise about this movie he's supposed to be starring in.
Well, I don't know if it was Dana White or someone said something about Michael Chandler should be fighting Conor McGregor. 'Cause I know he wanted that fight, and it sounds crazy, but because of his style, unless he tries to shoot for, man, he does shoot for takedowns, so that might not be good for Conor. But he gasses, and the Michael Chandler fight. I mean, if he makes it main event, he'd probably try to make that main event five rounds for Conor, which will work more in Conor's favor than Chandler. Even Conor gasses low, and the way he
Uh,
is.
well, what I would before we talk about the fight between McGregor and Chandler, is McGregor even going to come back to the UFC? Do you think so?
Yeah, I think he'll come back. Yeah, yeah, he'll come back. It'll kill him if he goes out on how he went out. He'll definitely come back.
Y-
Um, I don't think it'll be anytime soon though. It'll be definitely next year, whether it be like in March, April time, or before that. It'll give him time to lose the weight and start time shredding it. But yeah, I don't know. It's all speculation, isn't it?
You definitely believe this man is the notorious MMA is definitely coming back to the octagon. You can bet your
I
money on it.
I don't bet, but I'm not betting man, but I believe he will.
Mm.
He's got too much ego to go out like that. But if he comes back, it'd be someone that he believes he can beat.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
Now, when he fought like Cowboy Cerrone, it'd be someone silly, or for a title, or for a title.
Well, the advantage for him is there because I mean, although you can't pick it like a nobody, you have to pick someone who has some, let's say, if not star power. They've got a significant following. Quite a lot of people know them, so he wins either way. So they'll be happy to fight him because it gives that's the name, the branding goes up in ranking, and also it's a big money fight for them as well. For him, it's just a big money fight, really.
Yeah, Michael Chandler sounds stars. He does sound stars, but I believe it'd be a main event if
No,
that
definitely,
happens.
yeah.
Yeah, but that's in stars. But who knows? I could be completely wrong. Could be fighting Nate Diaz again. Who knows? He can get a rematch, make it the trilogy. Who knows? And they might say that bring Nate Diaz back for one more dance. They could make money. They could make tons of money off that.
Well, depends. It would. Well,
And
Nate did.
and Nate would go to welterweight, wouldn't he? Nate would probably go welterweight, or because Nate doesn't care, he'll fight at any weight, you know. So that'd be help better for Conor right now. The much amount of muscle he's put on as well.
Yeah,
So no, or Chandler said he wouldn't mind fighting him at welterweight as well. So who knows? Whoever wants it more, I think he'll be back. Yeah. Even though, do I think he should come back? No. Do I think he'll win? I don't know. I'd say no. Looking at him now, but who knows? He could come back with a different attitude. Who knows?
but a lot of people believe that this guy McGregor is now on the decline. But then again, at the back of my mind, I'm thinking, well, if he had won that fight with Poirier, would you have said that?
I think it's the motivation, isn't it? They always say they motivate. That's why the memes, all the comments, it's the comments. I motivate Connor wins this guy. I motivate Connor. It's like the sea level Kane Velasquez, and you got all
Yeah,
these other different. It's quite funny, but we'll see. It's how much Connor wants. I do believe that. I do believe money can change people, but either way, money or not or no money, I gotta understand. I should say that no money does definitely motivate you more. But either way, he definitely still lost. He still lost those fights, and
yeah,
he's got to see if he wants it or not. And this is a sport. It's one of the most dangerous sports in the world, even though you've got all the proportions that put in place. But yeah, it's how much he wants it. He's got a lot, any really. So it's up
yeah,
to him. I think just because of how he went out, I don't think he'd want to go out that way. I think he would want more, but I think he'd want an easy fight if there is one, if there's such one.
yeah. No, I
Yeah.
think when I think of UFC at 259, UFC 269, it was. I think we forgot the name of the event. Just
Mm.
the memes are coming out, especially from Khabib. Khabib was one of the first people to tweet about Conor's loss, saying you're making all this noise to come for people to come and see you fight, but then he went back to sleep or something.
Oh man,
No, that was quite hilarious. Um,
brutal.
so, uh, what else could we cover? Before we move on to the more serious discussion.
Yeah.
Uh, don't
Wei Zhang, he beat Esparza and the co-main event. I didn't watch it. I know it sounds
neither did I.
terrible.
Neither did I.
Mean, it sounds
I
terrible.
know.
I know the result. The reason why I didn't watch that was because Esparza versus Thug Rose, and Esparza versus Thug Rose apparently was one of the most boring fights of all UFC. I said if you watch that, you can make a person not want to watch an MMA fight again.
Really?
Apparently, yeah, apparently it's the most boring fight ever. Now, but regardless of me saying that, you got to give Esparza a lot of praise. The girl is now a two-time UFC champion in a very long time. I believe she was the first ever UFC champion at weight class when it first ever came a a division. But then also Thug Rose was in that contender series, not contender, Ultimate Fighter series for that belt as well, which was pretty cool. But Wei Zhang, who is she going to fight next? Because I enjoy Wei Zhang. I enjoy her fights. I enjoy Thug Rose. But Thug Rose versus Spicer was boring. I believe there was the fight was ended really quickly, but I'm not too sure. I didn't watch that. I need to watch that. I know it sounds terrible, but it didn't interest me at all, and it sounds bad. I remember when I did my phone, as soon as the Poirier fight was off, I was off it, and I played Football Manager on my phone. Yeah, it's terrible. And then came back on it,
Jonathan. Ah, the
Yeah.
Jay Lang. How do you spell that? If the name sounds familiar, if I to look it up on Google, I might.
I'm not too sure how to spell it. I'm dyslexic, so I'm not the best person, but
Right.
I can find it for you later. I'll send it over to you. Wei Zhang.
Okay. All right. So look,
Oh, and
yeah,
Frankie Edgar retired, didn't he?
he did.
Frankie
Yeah, yeah.
Edgar
Mhm.
had his last fight and sadly lost going out in terrible fashion. Got a first round KO flying knee, which is terrible, and also Dan Hooker got another W, which I'm happy about. Good for him, but yeah, sad for Frankie. He should have retired a long time ago. But Frankie Edgar, yeah, we got to give something. We got to talk about Frankie Edgar. Sorry, I'll be quick. I'll be quick as I can, even
No,
though I
that's all
don't
right.
want to be quick. But we've got a show to go through. Frankie Edgar has spent the most time in the UFC than anybody ever in the UFC, and has fought If you want to talk about one of the toughest people, not in height, not in thing, but as in being tougher person, as in spirit. that man has fought your who's who. He didn't. He fought BJ Penn when BJ Penn was considered one of the greatest. BJ Penn is not even considered one of the greatest now, which is crazy, because obviously his record, because of what he did after he started going downhill and kept fighting when he was past it. But Frankie Edgar fought BJ Penn when he was BJ Penn, when BJ Penn was killing everybody, milking everybody. He fought Sean Sherk when he fought all these beasts, Diego Sanchez when Diego Sanchez was Diego Sanchez. He fought all these killers when they were at their prime, and BJ Penn was milking them all. And Frankie, I think, how many times, I don't know if it's 4 times or whatever, beat him every time, destroyed him in featherweight, lightweight, and I don't think BJ Penn ever recovered from that mentally. He might have recovered now, but what Frankie Edgar did to him, and then also Gray Maynard did the same thing to Gray Maynard. Gray Maynard was undefeated. Frankie Edgar stopped after losing, just like Izzy. After losing to Gray Maynard, Frankie lost
Mhm.
to him. Came back. I think they drew, and then they fought again and defeated Gray Maynard in devastating fashion. When he got lost to come back in the later rounds, his cardio and his chin was so durable back in the day. Come back to finish Gray Maynard at lightweight. And you got to think, this is a time when there was no such thing as featherweight in the UFC. There was no such thing as lightweight, there was no thing as featherweight, bantamweight, and which is at now bantamweight. The guy had to eat food to get in the weight. Do you know people cutting weight just to be
Yeah,
in the UFC? Frankie Edgar had to eat to be in that weight class. So it wasn't like you could be, oh, he had to cut. He was so small, he had to eat. He was one of the tiniest people in that fight division, and he
yeah,
became UFC champion. And I believe a lot of people believe that one of the fights against Ben Henderson for the title, which I think he lost the title to, a lot of people believe that he beat Ben Henderson. But this guy fought everybody. He fought Yair Rodriguez. I don't know if he fought too sure if I think he beat him. I'm not too sure if he fought Korean Zombie. He fought Max Holloway. He fought Jose Aldo twice, and a lot of people think that he beat Jose Aldo the first time, so he could have been a featherweight champion as well. He fought bantamweight, featherweight, lightweight. He fought even in his later years. He fought chicken. He fought everybody. The guy fought absolutely everybody. Sean Sherk. Trying to think. Well, so I says Jose Aldo, Max Holloway. I'm not too. I got to go through the line, but if you see the guy's record, it's absolutely insane. The guys he's fought, and yeah, you got to say he's definitely going to be in the Hall of Fame if he's not already, and he's going to be one. I won't put him as the greatest of all time, but as a heart, I would say that guy's got probably one of the biggest hearts, or if not, you could put him up there with the greatest of all time, just with the heart alone. He was a guy who would just fight anybody, anywhere, anytime. He was just, yeah, yeah. That's why it's sad right now. That's probably why he's still continuing when he shouldn't be. It's because of
yeah.
his heart, which is just, which is sad. Is why he got brutally knocked out twice, a few times. Did he fight Sanhagen? I think he fought Corey Sanhagen as well.
I remember the
Yeah,
flying knee. It was God. It
yeah,
was he went out
yeah.
so
And
quickly.
he's fought Uriah Faber.
Mm.
He's fought. Oh my days! He's fought everybody. He's literally fought everybody. And yeah, the guy's got a heart of a lion. If you want to talk about someone who's got a heart, you want to talk someone who, if you're in a street fight, you want someone to back you up. Frankie's that man. The one's got. He ain't gonna freaking. Even though he's small, he ain't gonna back down. So that guy is yeah. It's sad to hear that he's no longer fighting. Sad to hear how he finished. But yeah, yeah. Sorry, I'll leave it at that. Hope that gives justice to how good Frankie is.
But there are some fighters who, Edgar is only about what 40, 41 now, isn't it?
I don't know. He could possibly. Is that old? Is he older? I thought he might be 39. He could be 40s. Could be right. Could be right.
Um, so I'm thinking there are other, though maybe these guys are the rare exception. You have other fighters such as Glover Teixeira. Teixeira is
Mm.
still competing, actively competing, isn't it?
But
And
he's
he's
smart. Glover. I mean, don't get me wrong. Yari Rodriguez was brutal, but Glover to get back to the title, and he had to fight killers to get back to the title contention and win it. Changed his fighting style. His fighting style used to be come out, knock him out, and he changed to be a grappler and used his grappling more than his striking, and took less damage to get to the top, even at the late age. Different. That's the problem. But Frankie was more going toe to toe.
yeah. Okay, you give me something else to think about. In fact, everything you said so far in this
Oh,
episode,
mate, I watch UFC so much, mate. I love this stuff. And
yeah,
MMA. I think I'm not disrespecting what you're saying. It's true what you're saying. He did, but Frankie wasn't. He Glover. I mean, other than the Yari, Yari. What's his name? Jiri. Is it? I forgot his name. The guy with the Viking looking geezer, and he's
Yuri Prochaska or something like that.
yeah.
Yeah,
Other than that fight, I know he took some damage, a little bit damage was against Santos. I think he believed he took a little bit damage, but then he took him down. Uh, and then when he fought Yanni, he's smart against him. He Glover Teixeira was smart how he made his route to the top. He used his brain over Braun's. Um, I don't want to say that. It sounds terrible what I'm saying about Frankie, but the problem with Frankie is that weight class that he's in. They're so fast, and at
mm,
age, maybe it is the weight class as well. At that age, your speed is one of the first few things to go at that going
yeah,
towards that age. Sad to say, and with the heavyweights, it don't really matter because a lot of people aren't that fast anyways. And like
mm.
that's about a person we're about to speak about. I'm not going to bring him up now, but yeah, that's a you got to call that factor the weight division as well. Just to be at the top of that level. It shows, well, even though he did lose, I think he believed he beat someone really good. I gotta look at his record, but yeah, it was sad that he finished how it ended. But I think because he's got such a big long resume, I think people studied him a lot more and saw holes, and he didn't adapt. And by not adapting, he paid the price. Is a lot hard to tell. They say you can't teach new old dog new tricks. You
Yes,
can,
yeah.
you
Wow,
can teach them
okay.
new tricks, but that's for a lot of fighters you can't. You can teach them new tricks. Definitely can treat new tricks. Some fighters get better and better as they age, which is crazy. Like Robbie Lawler or other fighters that I can think of on top of my head, but like for Frankie, I don't think he last few fights he'd looked the same sort of thing, and I think people saw what he was doing and got exposed. It's sad, but yeah, I'll shut up now because I talk loads. Sorry, man.
So Anthony Johnson, I have to say when I saw the post for the first time on it was yesterday, yes, Sunday evening, Sunday night over here in the UK. I've got to be honest, I was quite shocked and taken aback. I mean, the last time I had heard or seen anything to do with this guy, unfortunately, wasn't exactly on positive terms. There had been an incident that had happened, he was involved, but I really didn't foresee anything like this on the horizon. So when I saw the post, I had to go back and check. At first, I thought maybe just it could have been a sick joke or sick meme.
Mm.
But actually, no, it turned out to be true. And today I learned that actually he had been fighting an illness, and unfortunately, over the weekend it did take his life. So yeah, I was really really shocked, and I was like, wow, and only 38 years old, so soon, still very young.
He was a big inspiration to me as well. Yeah, I don't know about all this alleged chat, what he did outside the cage, or it was true or not. Maybe it could be true, maybe it's not. But I like to remember him for what he did in the cage, and I've seen stuff he's done good from the outside cage as well. But I it's sad, very sad. When I heard, I was like, "Oh my days, really?" Because I was seeing his return. I couldn't wait for his return because
Mm.
I loved me and Aaron Davinia Moses know. We used to watch it around Aaron's house, his fights with DC. I used to watch it with my younger, my brother Perry and my dad. Like he was so exciting. It was just the same sort of feeling as Francis and Garni when he went in there. He would finish people really quick, like in Nigeria, and how he finished Glover Teixeira. But I did a big post before this the podcast we did because I felt like I don't usually put posts on my Instagram about fighters, but this one I felt really deserved it. I felt like I was glad he was coming back because I felt like he should have been UFC champion, Rumble Johnson. Sad to hear what has happened. Devastating to hear that he's passed away. He possessed when I talk about skills, I said about skill set to win a world championship. He possessed them all. The only one that wasn't there was his mind for the title when he fought Daniel Cormier. And I think even said himself after the fight, I'm retiring, and he wasn't. He said, I'm not thinking straight. I don't need it. That's why he went away and came back Bellator. But he he went in that fight, the first fight, nearly stopped Daniel Cormier. Somehow flipping Daniel Cormier, freaking because he's got such high level wrestling. Somehow he hit Cormier so hard he went from one side of the cage all the way over to the other cage. And I remember the funny bit after the fight when Daniel Cormier said he was cocky. Daniel Cormier, oh whatever. I spar with Cain Velasquez, heavyweight champion of the world. You don't hit it harder than him. And he said he ate his words as soon as he felt that one punch. He was like, he said, he said, I'm gonna strike with him. Daniel Cormier said after one punch, he's like, nope, nope, nope. Okay, I'll take back what I said. Screw the freaking, I want to win. I'm not siding with this guy, because he hit so hard. He pushed the thought, no, you hit harder than Kane. You hit definitely very hard than Kane. Velasquez, like as a heavyweight, he hit so hard. I think he broke. Who's the name? The guy he fought. He broke his jaw. The UFC old heavyweight champion, and he still is going to this day. Andre Arlovski hit him so hard he broke his jaw. The guy, his mum said that when he was a kid, the guy used to punch locks open. And to think this guy at one stage of his career felt that the need that he had to be at welterweight. If you watch him at welterweight, watch videos, he fought Dan Hardy, beat Dan Hardy at welterweight. He was a massive. He looked like anorexic on welterweight. Welterweight was disgusting. It was so scary to see. But he used to make welterweight for some reason. He thought he needed to be, and that's why he got cut by the UFC because he kept missing weight because he shouldn't have been at that weight class. So I don't know who they was telling him to that, but that must have diminished his career a little bit, his fighting career by doing that. He shouldn't have been doing that in the first place. But back to what I was saying about the Daniel Cormier second fight. The first fight, yeah, DC weathered that storm and took him down, and and did enough, and he won that. I forgot watch that fight back again. I forgot the way how it went, but played out. But I know DC won usually using by his wrestling. But at the start, when he got punched and kicked, oh, he was so close to being. It was so minuscule ways of winning. And then the second fight, Henry Hoof looked disgusted because Anthony Rumble Johnson. Now you got to think that DC is a high, not just a wrestler, one of the best. He made Dan Henderson, who's another Olympic wrestler, look like he'd never done wrestling in his life. Played with him. That's how good DC of his wrestling is.
Yeah.
Now Anthony Rumble Johnson tried to wrestle a wrestler, not just a wrestler. I'm talking about Olympic medalist wrestler. And is it I forgot what to say. He's a Division One wrestling championship as well. I forgot the name of it. I did put it in my post, but I forgot the name of it. Yeah, it's not in my head at the moment. But he's like just one of the best wrestlers of all time. And you are gonna try and wrestle with this guy. That's when you know Andy Rumble Johnson's not the right mindset. He was trying to do that, and he got out wrestling. He lost. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's got heart. His heart was there. He thought I can beat you at your own game. Silly thing to do because he only need to do is land one punch and this could be game over. He's want to possess that power or kick or punch. And he had one of the greatest coaches in MMA and in kickboxing, Henry Hoof. Henry Hoof is one amazing Dutch kickbox producers. I don't know if he's Tyrone Spong's head coach. I'm not too sure, but he's one of the great, fantastic head coach of kickboxing. And instead of him using his assets to the best of his ability, I think I'm not so surprised why Henry Hoof was so upset with him after that fight. He turned away because he was like, "Well, what are you doing, man? We did all this work," and he turned away because. But then at the same time, Andy Rumble Johnson said out on the camera that his head wasn't in it, his passion. He lost the passion for it, and he needed time away, and he probably did. That's why he wasn't it. But if he had his head right on, my days, could he fight? You mentioned about Glover Teixeira being champion. He knocked out Glover Teixeira in 13 seconds. He knocked out Nogueira brother, the young Nogueira brother, within the first round. He knocked so many people out in the first round. It was scary. He was like the Mike Tyson at one stage of the UFC. He was so ferocious. I couldn't wait to watch him. I used to be a big Rampage Jackson fan. When I saw Rumble Johnson, it was like Rampage times 3. He was so bad at one stage. John Jones was every person John Jones talked to, he tried to bully. When it came to Rumble Johnson, they were going to fight, and obviously the fight got pulled out and it got cancelled. John Jones was trying to be friends with Rumble. Now, John Jones don't be friends with anybody. John Jones always thinks he's superior to everybody he fights.
Yes, yeah.
When he went to Rumble Johnson, it was like, let's be nice to this guy. Let's be nice. That we ain't gonna be that. And I don't know if he done drugs. So I said to Aaron, I believe John Jones was scared of him. I think he didn't want to fight him, and he tried to use an excuse to get out of it. And I think probably right move. That's my personal opinion. Doesn't mean it's true, but I think that's why that happened. Personally, I still believe that. I don't know if you remember the press, because a big famous press conference where they get really angry in the face, and then as they get in the face, they laugh and joke and like give fist bumps because Dana got scared, and he was like, oh, like that. They did that. They Dana White. But this is the type of this guy could knock people out of heavyweight, light heavyweight. I mean, there was a famous fight everybody wanted to see, including myself, was Yoel Romero versus Anthony Rumble Johnson.
Yeah,
Anthony Rumble Johnson was one of my favorite fighters, if not one. It's one of the Anderson Silva's the favorite. I can't say it. I can't tell a lie, but Rumble Johnson was up there. I couldn't wait to watch. He was on a card. I'm watching it. It didn't care. I wanted to watch him because he had that the X factor. But it's sad. It's so sad that to hear that he had a undisclosed illness. I
yeah,
don't want to go too much into that because I don't think it's right to talk about. I don't want to talk about that. It's sad that he's passed away. But yeah, what a true pioneer, true warrior. And I say personally, me when I was younger, I was brought up well Muay Thai originally, but then I did Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. I kind of got brainwashed in believing. Now this is going to hurt a lot of people because I say use the word brainwash because I do believe it's brainwash. This is my opinion about believing technique beats everything. Bullcrap. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Technique comes so far, but
yes,
when you got someone like Annie Rumble Johnson, who's done explosive twitch, and I had to get away from what I believed when I was in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu getting teached early years, this early years of MMA, you're talking about 2011, 2012, 2013, just really early years of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu that was getting taught and I was getting to my mentality. And when I saw that Rumble Johnson, not just him, there was other fighters I can't think of at this specific moment, but doing his Edson Barboza, that's right, Edson Barboza doing explosive stuff. I love Edson Barboza, and he was doing like squat jumps with a ball on top of a box, doing squat jumps. And I was looking at these sort of this training, trying to put them into my. That's why I went to a rugby coach like Levy Davis, and I've gone to other people, and I'm going to go back to it in the future as well, continuously. But he broadened the horizon of my mindset. People like if it wasn't people for the fighters like Rumble Johnson, seeing him how explosive he was, how he took people out, it showed yes, like the technique's great, but imagine if you had technique and this explosive power. I think Rumble Johnson was almost one of the most complete fighters you could get, and it's sad that he was never champion because he could have been one of the greatest of all times.
mm,
But to talk to him about all these fighters, Rumble could have been one of them. That I would love anybody who doesn't know about Andy Rumble Johnson who watches this. I wanted to watch his fights and watch how good he was because he was scary. He was the Francis Ngannou of light heavyweight division. If not, I would love to see the prime Andy Rumble Johnson versus Francis Ngannou. That's how good Anthony Robert Johnson was. This guy should be the talk of John Jones talk. It's sad that he's not because of he had losses and stuff like that, but the skill set he had, oh my days. And the crazy thing, this is what I don't like when people like I heard Daniel Cormier talk about the fight on the middleweight division, saying, "Oh, Izzy's fought better people than Anderson Silva." Well, there's a guy that beat Anthony Rumble Johnson. His name is Vitor Belfort, and it was a TRT Vitor Belfort. Anderson Silva beat that Belfort. Yeah, believe it or not, people say, "Oh, Anderson Silva was in Vitor Belfort's head." He was, but he beat him. He beat him. This Vitor Belfort destroyed people, and Vitor Belfort somehow beat that Anthony Rumble Johnson, which is crazy. Shows how good he was. Also, and still beat a lot of other people. I don't want to go and talk about Anderson Silva's bout, Anthony Rumble Johnson's bout, but just the fact I didn't like what DC tries to do. He does it. A lot of people try to forget about the old tier and try to make him like they were sub more than this new breed. I, sometimes I agree with that, sometimes I don't agree with that, and this is not one of them. But anyways, off that, back to Roman Johnson. Do your research. This guy had a powerful hand, powerful wrestling. He wrestled the people in wrestling. He wins out welterweight. Believe this guy. This guy, imagine this was a welterweight, went up to light heavyweight, knocking out light heavyweights. I mean, he shouldn't have been a welterweight anyways, but he was at welterweight, killing himself, went up to light heavyweight, destroying light heavyweights. The guy only he fought Daniel Cormier. Some people say is like one of the greatest of all time. Knocked him down. He would be if John Jones didn't beat Daniel Cormier. He's a double weight world champion, and he got popped with steroids, and then he got done with drugs cheat. So you could almost say that DC is the greatest of all time because of the controversial BJ of John Jones.
yeah,
Andy Rom Johnson knocked this guy down and could have finished him. And in the second fight, if he wasn't silly, sorry to say it, Rumble, you were silly. If he wasn't silly, could have been UFC champion. And if he didn't retire so young and come back later on, he could have retained that and be mega amazing. He had that potential. He had that potential. It's saddened, really saddened to me when I saw it. I
yeah,
thought when you said about
mm,
mean. sorry that I'm talking a lot, and I'll let you talk now. But when you saw that as a meme,
No,
I thought the same thing. I
yeah, I
thought the same
thought,
thing. I thought, no
is
way,
this
he's not.
correct?
Yeah, I
I
know.
was because I mean, I get that the probably he did have some domestic issues in his life, and the last time I did see anything about him at all, besides the fighting, was about an incident that happened. When I saw the post, I was like, is this correct? Because on the internet, you have all sorts of things that are put out there. Is this actually correct? Is it real? Then I saw as in other posts coming in, which looks much more genuine. And then the following day, I did some digging into what actually happened, and I found that yeah, he had uh, passed away. But listening to you, Jonathan, I mean, I did some research before starting the Zoom chat with you, and I always feel that God, there's still so much that I didn't uncover, so much that I didn't research, and I just feel that still there's still shit loads that I just do not know. And so I sit there and be quiet and just listen.
No, no, man. Sorry, man. I get passionate about there's only certain amount. There's a lot of fights, but Anthony Rumble Johnson was one that I've missed work for. You know,
Right.
there's people that I've got. I remember I was working the doors. I was like, no, no, no. I remember at one stage I needed money. I was like, no, what? If they sat me, they sat me. I stayed around Aaron's house. I think one time I stayed around Aaron's house. I went in late, and another time I went went home early or something like. Oh, we sprinted from because Aaron Divinu from the multicast. He lived at one stage not too far from where I worked.
Yeah.
So I finished work. I was in my suit. People must think, what the heck is this guy like? Sprinting. I used to work on the doors, do security. I used to work. I used to run straight to his house just to watch
Yeah.
the
Sure.
UFC. Yeah, with Ben Wong, Master Wong, and Moses Jolly. We went there to watch that, and yeah, yeah. But yeah, it was a very entertaining fight, a very explosive, very scary, very scary. And if you're watching Nagara was a real, great fight himself. He was in Pride FC. It was Little Nagara. They call him Little Nog. You got Big Nog, Big Nagara, Little Nagara. Little Nagara was one of the him and his older brother. I think his older brother got run over by a truck. Do you know Nagara brothers? Do you know the Nagara brothers?
If I see them by face, I might know them, but the name doesn't ring a bell.
And well, big. They're in. I think they're in Expendables, and in the movie they've got a big part on that. But the older brother was so tough that he got run over by a truck, I believe, and he's got a massive scar on his back, and he's still alive. You know, they were very tough brothers, and he fought many for sure. But off that, but he was a warrior. Put it this way, Nigeria's a warrior. When they're notoriously tough. And Andrew Rumble Johnson got him out in like, I don't know, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, or something like that. Got him out the cage. And not just that, brutally knocked him out. It was easy. He would run through people. I don't, that's why I don't know what was going in his mind for and maybe it was because his pride got hurt because he got out grappled and he wanted to show you can't out grapple me. I want to out grapple you. But we should watch the DC second fight. I can't believe that, you know. And like I said, what he did to no little Nagera, but look what he did to who's that guy I just mentioned, Glover Teixeira. What he did to Glover Teixeira, he
Hello to
finished him
share.
in 13 seconds. He knocked him out, and that guy's tough as nails. 13
Yeah.
seconds. 13 seconds. Who does that? And he was at welterweight. He beat Dan Hardy. I mean, I think he lost to a few people at welterweight because his gas tank was so diminished because his body was going through hell to get to that weight class that he'd rather be like a 1 round wonder because he couldn't. You know, he was like that. But the guy, I know he's won a few in Bellator, but yeah, it's so sad. I mean, I saw pictures of his body frame of him, like
Yeah.
it's scary.
They said in the lead running up to or lead up to his passing away, he'd lost a lot of weight because of the illness. He didn't look healthy at all. So I think there was a video on this MMA Talk on YouTube. I think I think someone managed to get some detail what had. I mean, it could be may not be true, but they managed to get some details on what actually happened. They said it was a particular illness or something cancerous that had
Okay.
caused his death. Yeah, so I think it was unless if they were treating it, but they couldn't exactly cure it. But yeah, unfortunately he succumbed to it over the weekend on Sunday.
No, that's absolutely it's
Yeah,
terrible. Yeah. So sad for his family, of their family. Okay, I mean, I remember the video they
yeah.
did on his mum. I think I don't know if it's a lead up to. There was one fight. I don't know. I think it might have been the lead up to Daniel Cormier, or could have been lead up to another fight that he fought. They did. They should do the. Yeah, they called Embedded now, but it used to be called something else. Another show that UFC used to do to promote the fighters back in the day, and they were talking to his mum, and the mum was talking stories about Anthony Rowan Johnson. The one that got me laughing was like the one where like they used to have a lock or something and they need something broke unlocked.
He just
Like
mentioned he
he
punched the
just
lock open.
locks
That's
open as a kid.
crazy.
And I believe it because the amount of people he knocks spark out like real
Yeah, yeah.
stuff. Yeah, that's probably right. And he's
Mm.
built like a brick house. So yeah, and their family looked very heartwarming, wholesome. They had like a wholesome family. Like everything about him I liked. It's just sad. And it's a very sad story now
Yeah.
because he's passed away, and some things there's other things that I don't want to bring up to be honest, because I want to bring the better versions of Johnson, the better stories. But yeah, and I was sad that he beat. The first time I ever know about Rumble Johnson, I should play UFC 2008. I think it was using 2008, and I saw this guy, and he had crazy amount of power. And then another time I saw him in real life because I was a big Dan Hardy fan. He fought Dan Hardy, and at the time it was on Satanta. Satanta, do you remember Satanta Sport? Remember Satanta Sport? Like it got, oh, was it Satanta? It used
So
to be yellow and black. This like Satanta Sport on Sky, and it was on there. And I think that's before it was on ESPN. Then it went on to BT Sports. But yeah, it was on very early. I was in school at the time. I remember I was in school and I was a big Dan Hardy fan. He had that red mohawk going in, and he
mhm.
fought this guy called I think it was after he lost to GSP Dan Hardy, and then he fought Rumble Johnson and he lost. And then and then after I think he went on a crazy losing streak. I think he lost to Carlos Condit and others after that. But anyways, or it could have been before. I could be wrong, but I remember the fight Dan Hardy was coming against him. He was just massive guy, and he couldn't. And Rumble just kept taking him down. I think he beat him by points, or I'm not too sure if he stopped him, but that was a first meeting. But I know it sounds crazy. He wasn't too impressive at that point, but that was when he was cutting stupid amounts of weight. So that's the first time I ever saw him, and then after that, seeing him when he came back as Rumble,
Yeah.
he blew away Rumble. It was just like, wow, who is this guy? Just murking everybody. But yeah, it's very sad. I want to watch find some videos of me. He stopped Gustafson as well, Alexander Gustafson,
I just
very quick.
say that again.
Do you know Alexander Gustafson?
Okay, no. Again, if I see the person on my face, I may know them.
Alexander Gustafsson, he fought John Jones. They had a great war. Alexander Gustafsson fought John Jones. They had amazing two battles. Some people say that he beat John Jones, Alexander Gustafsson, and I think and Rumble Johnson. Don't know if he done him in the first round or the second round, but he finished him. And then when he did, oh, it was brutal, very brutal. Yeah, he always knockouts or some like something out of a horror scene. Something was brutal. He was brutal.
I
Rumble
think
Johnson.
I think maybe we can talk about this guy about him probably in the next episode because I'm sure people are still going to be talking about his passing for weeks to come now.
Yeah, yeah,
But he's
exactly.
still
I'm
very
sorry.
young.
This is a long podcast. I'm sorry
No,
about
no.
that. We've been going too long as well. I
Uh
agree.
now I've got about 2 minutes left on the timer. Is there anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, I want to give out shout out to Perry and Mike Evans who are fighting this Saturday for I think for his charity, on an MMA amateur show event or semi pro, what I believe it is to be. Thank my father, my girlfriend Nina, Mike James, the champ Moses, Johnny who's coming back, Ben Durzo, um, and yourself for having me on
Thank
the
you.
show.
Thanks.
Always, my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Thank you again, and yeah, how about yourself, my friend?
Uh well, I'm just no one's response from me. Just and I mean I'm still learning so much about the sport, so I'm still careful about even any opinion that I give. But before
Opinion, man. Say it. Don't ever be scared of
that,
being
well,
correct, or even you might be have an opinion. You might be right, and someone say in the comments, "Hang on, Johnny's being silly." It's an opinion. Now. My opinion doesn't mean it's right. It's just my opinion. So don't worry about having an opinion, bro.
All right.
If I'm judgmental, tell me. I don't want to be a dick. I don't want to feel. I don't want to make you
No,
feel like
but
you know. But
guys, if you did if you did enjoy this episode, please don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. You can catch the episode of the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iTunes, and a Google Podcast. And
you do have opinions.
John.
Sorry, stop. You do have opinions. Sorry, to stop you there. You said stuff about like the
Hold
Michael
on.
Chandler versus Dustin Poirier. You know.
Okay. Okay. Um, you're right. I should have an opinion. I shouldn't be afraid to voice this out. Only thing is, I just want to be sure of what I'm saying. Because I wouldn't like to give sound like someone who's just talking a lot of nonsense about something he doesn't know anything about. That wouldn't make me look good. And well, you just wouldn't look very intelligent, and people we don't like that. So people, in fact, who like the subjects that you're talking about, who are very passionate about that subject, they will feel very offended and even very disrespected. It's just, I suppose, the way it goes. So I'm very cautious, but
People that regardless if you don't or do. So I respect that you say though, and you did have an opinion, which you talked about the Michael Chandler
yeah,
and Poirier before me. You said that stuff, and I respect what you said, which is true. I do believe that Michael Chandler. I know you said when someone else said about being stupid fighter. You didn't call him stupid. You said about someone else would call him, but what he did wasn't smart in some areas. I do say some areas he was smart in with shoot for the takedown, and but definitely not blowing your nose and so on. So you do have opinions. But I think sometimes I go on so much, it's too much, and I'm sorry about that. That is my fault. It's not so, but I just get very excited sometimes when I talk about certain people and certain subjects. So I do go on a bit too much. So sorry about that, bro. So, but you shouldn't say
no,
you haven't got opinion. Definitely got opinion. You've got a voice. That's what
I
we
don't,
talk.
I don't think he. Well, you might, you may think you do. Some people might think you do, but I don't think you should necessarily apologize for that because I think you're also emphasizing the knowledge you have of the subjects of the sport in this case. So clearly you're sure of what you're saying. What you're saying is correct. It is true, which is why you are kind of detailing your answers. Other people might just say agree to what's being said, or might just give a kind of vague answer to a particular question when talking about particular subjects, but they're not going to be giving a detailed description of what they're talking about. So clearly you do have a lot of knowledge about the subjects, which is why you've got a lot to say. I Even when I think I've done enough research into something, a fight, an athlete, an affair, a controversy, when I'm speaking with someone like yourself who's been inside the cage and outside the cage, and that sort of thing, I'm always
Mm.
reminded that wow, there's actually so much more to this than what I had actually anticipated, what I actually thought before.
I learn myself every day. I learned something new today. To this day, I was learning. Today I was actually working with two people today. I was learning new things, and one of them came up today as we were talking,
Mhm.
and this is why I was upset because I wanted to talk about that, speak upon that, and it was about the Alex Pereira. About I used the word engage. There was another. I can't see my mind's gone, but there was a not opening. I can't even get the word, but the word that was used earlier today, and it's I can't get it now. It's gone. But there was something I was learning new today in MMA, which is crazy. When you've been training for so long, sometimes you feel like, oh, I know Wizard, I know Sprawls, and sometimes I know some things, but I don't know the names of the words or what it's called. Or
You remember what the
so
word begins with? Lesser, if that helps.
opening. No, I can't think. My brain's gone blank. But we're using it to this day. So maybe if when because I'm with them tomorrow, I'll probably remember again. But yeah, so it's ever evolving sport, and I'm sorry that we've made this podcast so long. I'm sorry about that. That's I think a lot of me because I was talking for freaking ages. I got to shut up a lot more and get to the chase. Stop waffling. But yeah, sorry about that, mate. But yeah. So it's ever evolving. So don't feel like you don't know stuff. I might be talking rubbish. Who knows? But it's my opinion, and just like you got stuff, and then maybe you got highly passionate about something you believe. Speak it. Speak it. Don't worry about what. what other people think. Worry about what your perception is, and don't be afraid to, like myself. I thought Alex Pereira was in Izzy's head yesterday, before the fight. After watching the fight, I don't believe he was. I will take back what I say, and sometimes we always got to learn and think, hang on, yeah, I was wrong, or sometimes, oh, I was right there. I could have accepted that and that fight and saying, yeah, he won. Alex Pereira was in his head, he wasn't, because as he could have nearly finished him, and it was only due because of Alex Pereira's intelligence of the fourth round holding back going into the fifth round, you know. But I'll shut up on that. Sorry if I got, but you understand,
Mm.
don't you? You know, it's just don't be afraid to hold back opinions. I don't know if you do, anyways. But yeah,
I understand what you're saying, but Alex Perez not in Izzy's head. Maybe before the fight, but it might be
possible.
he might be now at the back of his mind because that's
Now it might be, but
it's
fight
three
before the fight.
because now it's three times in a row that Pereira, okay, I word it this way, three times in a row that Pereira has defeated Izzy.
Yeah,
So,
he
but I
might be in
like
his head now. He's definitely going to be in his head now. He can't
yes, I know,
not be in
yeah.
his head. But
Mm.
before that fight, going into that fight, no, he wasn't in his head. I watched that fight because he was watched it live. But now he will be. Yeah, now he definitely be in his fight in his head. But Izzy almost won that fight, and it was only because of Alex Pereira's intelligence of the fourth round, recovering, waiting for his time to shoot. That was nothing to do with Izzy not performing great because he was winning spectacularly. He was taking over, and Alex Pereira does what he always does, brings it home with a knockout.
I'm thinking now. You said will there be a rematch? To be honest, yeah, I believe there'll be a rematch.
Mm.
The UFC will definitely capitalize on that. Um, I was gonna say what train of thoughts. Oh yes. Now, if in this rematch we have the same results, is is he gonna drive himself mad?
It's gonna be howled, and
God,
even a
if
rematch for Izzy sounds horrible. I mean, it's gonna be horrible for Izzy to beat this guy now. It's gonna be more to overcome.
I
It's
know.
a very hard. That's gonna hurt so bad.
Oh, yes.
Well, you can see what he did right. You
Mm,
can learn. Forget about the 2 years, the two other fights. You've got to think just on that fight. You were doing
yeah,
everything right,
yeah,
and he's got to watch that fourth. If I was Izzy, I wouldn't watch any other round. What you did right about the fourth round. I mean, watch what you did right, but watch what you did in the fourth round. Watch what Alexander Pereira does. Maybe just do one kick and just lose the round as well and chill and relax, so you got energy as well. Maybe just chill just like Alex was doing, so you got the energy for the fifth round to move around.
yeah. I mean, Izzy can learn from the past fight they just had at UFC 281. Yeah, of
Definitely,
course.
definitely.
All right, Jonathan, it has been a pleasure.
Fine.
Um, uh, yeah, so guys, I'll do the outro again. Guys, if you did enjoy this episode, please don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. You can also catch the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iTunes, and Google Podcasts. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram. So yeah, Jonathan, till next time. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Yes, thank you, brother. Thank you.
Take care.